So it's my pleasure to be here with an esteemed panel of experts, cross-section from industry and also from the tech sector. So it should be a really interesting conversation. AI is being talked about a lot in the last 18 months. It's hard to see out there, but just a hands up, who's been tinkering with AI? Wow, that's good. Hands up if that's ChatGPT. Trick question. Love it. I'm Jason Houghton, as Chief Innovation Officer at Revizto. It's my job to think up new cool things with our team and where Revisto's going. So AI is topical for us. We're all sitting in a different order, but that's okay. I'm going to pass over to Anton Shaw from Warranamani in New Zealand. Yes.
Sorry, so I'm the automation and BIM manager at Warranamani. I just believe the processes that BIM enables on projects just allows for a lot better outcome for all involved. Sorry about the mic. Just a quick little bit for the introduction here. I actually used ChatGPT to generate this, so it was a very interesting outcome. I just put in some very brief remarks, and it actually came back with quite a lot of information about myself that it used Bing to do. So,
awesome. Thank you, Anton. Grant.
Yeah, good to see everyone. My name's Grant. I lead our community team here at Drone Deploy. My background is many of the folks that are here today. I come from the construction industry as a VDC manager for a long, long time. But on the Drone Deploy team, just really focused on how do we connect everyone in this room outside of conferences and kind of our community effort in that. But the excitement to be up here today was really just there are probably less than a handful of moments, I think, in construction or in this industry that we've seen that are truly transformative, and AI obviously being one of those. And so, it's honestly feel really fortunate to be up here with you guys and talk about this topic and obviously have takeaways to go and do something with it when we all get back to our desks on Monday.
Brilliant, thank you. Mitch Medway.
G'day everyone. I feel like I'm being interrogated a little bit here, but that's cool. So don't mind me if I sort of try and... Okay, there we go. That makes more sense. So hi everyone, those people who haven't met me, my name is Mitch, based in Sydney, Australia. I'm actually a mate of Jason's, so I'm up here just to balance out the accents amongst the panel. There are two things that are really passionate, or things that I'm really passionate about. One is staying hydrated at conferences. The second one is just how we use technology to solve problems in our industry. And like everyone, I have a strong opinion just around AI and what we can do with AI and what the potential of AI could be for our industry.
Thank you, Mitch.
Hello. Kia ora, everyone. My name's Sam Whiffen. I'm the CEO and founder of Reveal. Welcome to Mitch's intervention. Reveal, I used to build utilities in the ground, then I did engineering science, and then project managing, building large heavy electrical substations, and then started Reveal 13 years ago, focused on utility surveying and mapping everything underground. And that has a massive impact on major infrastructure projects. So we have a software platform that looks at data management for utilities and creating accuracy models and synthetic data, which we can get into as well. So thanks everyone, and thanks for the community. It's an amazing community. I've really enjoyed the last couple of days. It's been great.
Thanks, bro. And Mo.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Mo. I'm the VP of Customer Success and Innovation at Cupix. My background is in architecture. I've been in the industry for more than 12 years now. Started on design side, shifted into owner rep, and then into actual general contracting, where I worked on the Qatar 2022 World Cup projects. And then I did that shift probably 6 to 7 years ago to pure technology, and I'm leading the customer success team at Cupix and also listening to our customers to lead the product side.
So we'll get into it. This is a passage that really connected with me. AI is not a substitute for human intelligence, but it's a tool to amplify human creativity and ingenuity. So full transparency, because we're a business that loves transparency. when we had our panel call to discuss the AI call, we went through an agenda. We went through some topics and some questions. There was a lot of head nodding on the Zoom call. And then I confessed it was all generated with ChatGPT, which everyone laughed and thought, well, of course, it's an AI panel conversation. So I'm looking forward to debating the questions as we go through. And to get it started, Anton, how would you define AI in the context of the construction industry?
So I'm going to talk about this from, I guess, a design perspective and where I sit with my role in the practice. Where I say AI working very well is like removing the tedium or using technology to do things that technology is better at doing and letting people do the things they're better at doing. So instead of them concentrating on doing stuff they will take a lot of time, not really add a lot of value to projects, it gives them time back to go and concentrate on those areas.
Do you have any specific examples where there's tedium that you might like to remove?
So it's obviously around a lot, like generating sheets and views inside Revit is a good example. That's a lot of time per sheet and view that you really don't want anyone to be doing. And then that can go down deeper into some of the documentation as well, like automatically tagging certain things inside of View. If you can start getting AI to understand what your objects are, what you want to be doing with this documentation, and then just allowing it to just go and do what it needs to do inside your project.
Awesome. Grant, what kind of perspective do you have on AI in the construction sector coming from a tech background?
I mean, I was talking with some folks earlier today about this, and I think the word AI has so many connotations to it, and the one that just, I think, elevates itself out of it just being a term is just this idea of an assistant. I mean, you think of like Microsoft that's like labeling it as Copilot and some other different phrases that make it, I would say, not more palatable, but more like understandable at the roots of what AI is going to do to help us. And yeah, I like the term assistant because that's truly what it's doing, is assisting us in the tasks that are more meaningful, more just, I would say, not fun to do. And I think in a very practical way in construction, like we would all love to have assistants, whether that's a physical person or something to help us get back to the work that we're doing, which I think is really neat because when you think of construction, when you think of technology in construction, I don't know that we've ever had a technology act as an assistant. A lot of these influential, tools and hardware and software that have come out have all enabled us to do something, but not in an assistant type way. So that's what I get really excited about, and really hopefully clarifying AI is really just here to assist you.
Mitch, I'm keen to hear how an AI assistant might help you stay hydrated.
Well, it's just another abbreviation that creates ambiguity in our industry. Like, we've got so many acronyms out there that, don't even get me started. Sorry, I kicked that one off wrong. But I think partially agree with what Anton has said, like just from a design perspective as well. I think essentially I describe it to people within Arcadis. It's a machine learning tool. It is a tool. It's not meant to replace imagination or levels of creativity. Essentially, it is a tool that does assist you, but humans aren't good at processing large amounts of data in those sort of timeframes that we need. So to define in simple terms, I think it's a machine learning tool, a complex one.
Sam, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's good you mentioned the machine learning. I think AI is heralded and bandied around, but really machine learning is what we're using now. True artificial intelligence in the context of infrastructure or construction, and I come from the business side a lot more from a technology side, it's salvation to some degree. 99% of mega projects blow out by 30 to 50% of their capital budget, 60% on program. We have these massive global headwinds around climate change, urbanization, failing infrastructure. We can never meet these project targets, and this will optimize a lot of the efficiency that we're going to get, the efficiency gains we absolutely have to do if we're going to start to kind of deliver more projects. So, I mean, high level really, but we need that efficiency, and it's going to disrupt a lot of pieces from a commercial perspective.
Mo?
Well, I do agree. Efficiency is key, and we started to see this mainly on the visualization side of the design, where you're seeing prompts where you can change these renders simultaneously. It takes 9 seconds maybe to generate these renders. We've seen also some tools where for construction documentation, where it is splitting the spaces in a more efficient way, creating these documentation. And I think that we're only scratching the surface with these tools.
And what kind of things is Cupix doing in scratching the surface? Because I noticed on your banner, the AI is up the top there. So what does that mean?
So Cupix, we focus not on the design side, more on the construction side. And we do with our Site Insights, which is our progress tracking engine. We use, of course, machine learning, and we have complex algorithms that can identify if something is installed on site and whether it is installed, which phase is it installed in. And we report back all this information to our customers so they can track not only percentage completions, but also the quantities involved in this percentage complete.
Really interesting. It's a good segue into the next question, which is business models, operating models, the need to change and leverage that data, but what risk and unforeseen consequences are we opening up, or are there opportunities there? Or are we just going to make more garbage in, more garbage out? Grant, I'm keen to hear your thoughts on this one.
Softball question here. I think the challenge with AI that often probably gets not talked about more than it as an exciting topic that it is the two other legs of, I think, we've all heard people process technology, right? And a lot of AI is, I think, revolved around technology, because that's the exciting things, the things that people are probably most gravitated towards of what's going to happen and what is going to change in their role. But the two other components of that I think are just huge as we talk about really the operating side of it and leveraging the data is the people and the process. Like, you can't just go dump AI into a company and expect great outcomes. That seems pretty obvious. But if you're not identifying the processes that you're wanting to change and improve with AI, I would say that's probably not going to lead to a very successful outcome. Not only processes, but talk about people. Like, if the people that you're working with have a misconception of it, that is this going to replace them, or is this going to make more work on them in ways that they actually don't realize how it could help them, I think that is a really big risk as we talk about it as a whole within a business, that when we talk about AI, I hope it's being talked about in the context of those two other ones of people and process.
Yeah. Mitch, you're from a very large global practice, Arcadis. What kind of risk do you foresee in the context of a large global operation?
So we have a series of task forces that are sort of set up, and that's around needing to identify how we manage change, how we explore where it's used. I think, for example, a comment on Cupix, because we use Cupix as well, I think the risk is that not taking advantage of these tools at pre-construction stage. What I've noticed from experience, if you actually use a tool that's got these features for construction, you can use them too late. So I think there needs to be, like, we do often separate design tools, pre-construction tools, construction tools. I think with things like AI, where we're processing large amounts of data, we're meant to be looking at this from a project life cycle all the way through in operations. That's what we sell to our clients, especially when we're engaged in a bid management capacity. So we try to look very hard at just the full spectrum, and with the task force is basically broken up into different components of a project. I think the real opportunity, though, is where you have structured data that represents like co-compliances. So trying to comply with a local government authority series of requirements. I think that's where things like AI are going to be great, because humans are not good at processing large amounts of data. We are way too susceptible to making mistakes.
Fair enough. Anton, coming from Warren & Money in a much smaller scale, are you seeing opportunities, or are you worried about AI?
I think there's both. For me, I guess it's AI can do a lot of cool things, and it gives you a lot of very convincing data and can give you very convincing thoughts on your data. I think it's that what Jason alluded to at the start of like the crap in, crap out kind of scenario, and also your knowledge about the data beforehand, the thoughts that come out of it and the way that it's analyzing it, but then also being able to interpret that result at the end of it and then take that and making it meaningful on your project. That's the real opportunity that I see, and it goes back to the first question to some degree, is enabling people, and that's the risk and the unforeseen circumstances, opportunities are like they go hand in hand, because they both can happen at the same time to some degree.
Yeah, that's probably a really good point. And I'm keen to hear from you, Sam, around that kind of engagement piece, because I know with your technology, you're providing some really clever data analysis from traditional methods like drawings all the way through to ground penetrating radar.
Yeah, I think skimming over what we do, the risk in business models is really interesting. Conscious of the audience we have here, but an opportunity with AI and ML, we need to kill the billable hour. Like, if you think around risk, if you reduce risk, you provide value. So if you think around the value proposition to customers, we need to fundamentally change the value proposition to projects. Too often the risk is lumped onto the principal and they have to increase jobs. If you can find the value and you can increase beyond the billable hour, you get rewarded for your innovation. So we fundamentally need to look at that. And to Mitch's point, absolutely, risk is addressed way too late. We kind of snowball the risk. And there's a massive opportunity, and it's not technology. Technology is not our problem. It's the operating and commercial models. That's a big, big piece in that.
All right, good segue into the next question. Human engagement. How will people really engage with AI? And I'm going to throw this to Mitch, because you're coming from the largest organisation with the most human capital, and building on top of Sam's statement around value proposition.
So I made a facetious comment yesterday in my presentation that people are hard work. Just doing what I do, like managing change is very, very hard. But look, for a long time, our industry has had a very ambiguous relationship with technology. And this wouldn't be the first example of disruptive innovation occurring for us. Like, there's been disruptive innovation with new technology happening for a very, very long time. So I think what we need to do is, like, if people get worried about losing their jobs and all that sort of stuff, look, what we try to really reinforce is you've just got to be able to adapt and pivot. And end of the day, AI is there. It's processing large amounts of data. It's not going to replace the need for creativity or leveraging your own imagination. It's not going to replace accountability. End of the day, we are still responsible for the decisions that we make. Based on what we want to source, it's giving you derivative information. You have the ability to actually choose what response you want to leverage, but we're just cutting out that legwork to get to a point so you've got options. So we're very mindful of making sure that people understand you're not going to lose your job. You've just got to use this as a tool, and you've just got to make sure that you maintain accountability when you're making decisions.
Anyone else got a comment on that one?
Well, the human part is essential in decision making. Let's talk about design here. It's like the AI can provide you with enormous number of options to choose from, but in the end, the humans are the ones experiencing the space. We are the ones that are taking the decision on if this space works for us, if we can feel comfortable with it or not. And this is the human part that will never go away.
Yeah, because we can't forget that the built world is for us, the people, not the machines. Grant?
Yeah, I mean, I think something you said that's so true. I have seen some very uncreative people become way more creative with what AI has enabled them to do. I mean, I'm a terrible writer. I hate writing. But some of the emails that I've been able to craft with AI are pretty good. But I would say, like, to your point, though, like, it is really exciting when you think about how much more creative this can enable people to be. But I think the human engagement part with AI, it seems like the basic level is like, okay, kind of a chat form of it, right? I mean, obviously because ChatGPT, but I think some of the really exciting parts there, you get past that kind of beginner level, is when you start to engage with not just text, but with visuals. Like, that is a huge thing of what, you know, our businesses and projects are working on, is the built environment. And that's where I think it gets really exciting, of you're interacting with images and what can you pull from those and what are they telling you when you're not looking in that direction, that I think is kind of the next wave of, oh, I've realized that I can interact with this in a text environment to more of a visual environment.
Absolutely. And I'm really keen to hear Anton's thoughts on this one, building on that, because I had the pleasure to present an AI presentation to the Warren studio in one of my trips, and there was some shocked looks on people's faces.
Yeah, it's I guess about the way that people interpret and use the tool. AI is one part of it, but I think taking a step back and just looking at, like, technology generally, if you fall off or you don't at least show interest and try and keep up with technology to some degree, you're going to be missing out on innovation and just better ways to do things. And I think Revizto is obviously a platform. Over the last few days, everyone's been talking about it and how much it's enabled people to do things as a team better. And technology is only going to get better at doing that. So if you're keeping up with technology as you go, it's less difficult to try and take a bigger step later on.
Perfect. All right, so let's rip the Band-Aid off. Is there enough standardized data in construction to really leverage AI? Like, I've debated font sizes, dimension styles, and all sorts over the years, but the data conversation never goes away. Mitch, I know you got some strong thoughts on this.
How are we defining what standardized data actually is?
Sam.
Right, I'm into this. Standardise is a point in time, right? Like, as we evolve, the standards will change. We've seen that evolution there, and you look at what we need now, and we don't know what we have. I think we've got a customer in Southeast Asia, a government that wants to use AI to model where the free space is underground. And the existing records are so crap that you go, if you apply the variable across there, instantly you can't see anything underground. The motivation for them to do that is because they want to be seen to be using AI. It's not helpful. We don't have enough accurate data there. But I was at a recent presentation with the Australian Defence Force, and they're building digital twins on planning out how they do a lot of their procurement processes. And they've built their own AI systems internally. And a big takeaway was, you don't need as much data as you think you need. You can create synthetic data sets and start to standardize that. Start to push into it. Don't wait to get the data there. Really start to look at what you can do beyond that. And also think beyond standards, not around, and we've done that. Like the evolution of our business is because we looked at a standard and we thought, what could be? What is the next evolution? What are different sensor types in there? I think standardized is tricky. It's exposing it to the full gambit of possibilities and really pushing it in different directions.
Oh, any comments from a QPIX perspective?
I don't think we have a lack of standards in the industry as much as we have a lack of widespread adoption of these standards. And in my perspective, I do believe the AI would be used to standardize how things would
AI
work.
is going to standardize the standards.
Yes, because we could feed all these best practices, all these scenarios, and then divert it the right way that we want to develop these standards too.
I think we really struggle. We don't have enough data literacy in our industry. Like, we really need more data science skill sets within our industry. I think we are still way too traditional in the way that we approach how we deliver projects.
So is that kind of back to first principles and the human expertise? So, what is important and balancing that with AI? Mitch, you had the last word.
I think so, but one of the key investments that we are looking at around a persona for Arcadis is when we do large projects, we need a data science approach, not just for us, how we're going to deliver it, but with our clients. And I think most of our clients do not possess the skills to understand the value of structured data. We have to educate our clients that we're going to start slow and finish fast. I think for way too long, it's been the other way around.
Yeah, Grant?
Yeah, I just think there's a phrase that's stuck with me is all this awesome technology can continue to push the word out there, and it's start simply and simply start. Like, don't be overwhelmed by all of what it can do. Just like start simply. I mean, I think all of us that raise their hands of like, hey, I use ChatGPT, like I simply started like putting in a prompt of what it is that I'm challenged by. I think that's something that I hope as all of us are, leaders of educating other people about this idea that we take that initiative too, to like, hey, don't be overwhelmed by this. Start simply start.
That really resonates with me because Saul mentioned that in the keynote this morning. Just get in there and be the smart person in the room.
To that, and on other pieces, like I've got young kids, and I think around 10 years, 15 years time from now, what's their university going to be like? How do they engage with this? And to your point as well, Mitch, the one fundamental thing that we can't remove from humans is leadership. Is how we communicate and interact with others. Leadership in terms of innovation, in terms of driving things and how you inspire people, that is a fundamental role that humans will always play, is that leadership. To that point, you're absolutely right, but I think that's a big driver for us.
I also think there's a big piece to it is understanding your why, the importance of what you're doing and why you're doing it, because then that can really dictate the conversations and what you're going to be doing with these tools.
Absolutely. So thinking about Sal's presentation this morning, this question really resonates. You know, how can this technology enable those who are afraid of technology or don't want to go deeply into technology, and you know, just basically ask the machine in plain English? I'm really keen to hear all of your thoughts on this one.
I think making them comfortable with the technology, upskilling, uptraining, the resources. Of course, we're going to see a diversion of how we operate. And as all technologies, when we introduce it, like people go from one role to another. So I think upskilling, uptraining the resources is essential in how we operate in the future.
I would say as well that we just need to be very clear with our teams where we go through that upskilling process, that there's a clear benefit as well. So I mean, some people who have actually got a passion, they will get in there and sort of have the hobbyist approach. But I think for a big business, like, you just need very clear structure, very clear curriculum, but you've got to be able to communicate what the benefit is. People seem less concerned around experimenting and testing new things when there's a commercial component to planning that level of exploration with new technology.
Yeah.
Totally. I think about the underground you can't see, and we have an opportunity to completely revolutionize the way we communicate that through a visual media. And if you look at the first design principles, red is bad, green is good. So at a very dynamic level, and if you think around gamification, there's a huge opportunity to help people make decisions really, really quickly through a rich visual media, and we change their behavior. If you can really start to expose that in an intuitive way, there's going to be massive gains there, even without a clear value proposition.
Last question, I'll flip over because we're going to run out of time. And I'm keen to hear from Anton and Mitch, since you're the people organizations on the panel. What skills and training programs are essential for professionals to thrive in an age of AI-driven construction?
I think the skills for me in particular is going back to that why. The skills are understanding what you're doing and why you're doing it, and then you'll be able to take and run with that information further and faster, and then you'll be able to build upon that better as well, rather than just taking the information that's given to you at face value and first cut of it. You'll be able to interrogate that deeper and take your knowledge further with it to take to your next problems and projects as well.
Mitch, closing thoughts?
Currently, what we're trying to do is we're just trying to teach people to make sure that they can actually set context from a prompt perspective, because depending on the context you provide and the prompt you give will determine what you receive in terms of deliverables. So I think that's the initiative, that's where we're at now. In terms of down the track, I think there'll be a bit more of a robust framework around, because like there's the text component, ideally there'll be a database component, there'll be an imagery component, there'll be a 3D model component. We are still very, very early in that journey. And most of the focus is still on imagery and text.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you, panel. It's been a pleasure to talk about AI. We probably could have gone on all night, but there's planes to catch, and Armin needs to come back on stage.